And welcome to the second part of my hangar tour video. In the last part we saw my different starships that I have, but hangars also serve as the kind of home away from home within the game. In the future there'll be a lot more customization and a lot more different room types, but for now it's just ship storage and a few cosmetic bits and pieces which I'll show you now. So we start with this middle tier section. Is this middle tier? Yes it is, because the art piece from the last video is over in that far corner there. So we have this nice basic foot locker, which we can open up. It seems to be fairly basic, it's not particularly detailed. We've got some boots, some gloves, but not much detail in them. Hopefully they'll change that and add a lot more subtleties and textures and things, because right now it doesn't look that good, to be perfectly honest. Sorry guys. So let's get rid of that. Next we have the towel. Now, this serves as a reference on multiple levels. It was the reward for all backers at $42 million, in addition to a couple of other things, I can't remember what, but obviously 42 is a reference to the answer to life, the universe, and everything. And of course, as part of that, you should always know where your towel is, and be able to use it. Wiping our hands there. Anyway. But there also is another slight reference in 42 is also in relation to Squadron 42, which is the single player part of the game, which is itself a reference from 42, no doubt. So it's a bit sort of weirdly cyclical of this is a reference to Douglas Adams, but there's also the name of the game is itself a reference, and so forth. Gets confusing very quickly if you start thinking about all of the different nods and things. Main control area. Nice wood paneling and all the rest of it. More cosmetic screens. Lots of lorem ipsum on the data display panels. We have the back door, or the front door. A door. Let's go with that. And this will eventually lead us to the outside world. Is that? That's the external environment. I can see through the door. That's funny. So what is that? Is that... I think that's... I'm not sure. Could that be the start of an elevator shaft? Looks like the door. Anyway, difficult to see. I'll have to investigate that some more. Let's move on to the locker from another universe, which is... the other universe in this case would be Wing Commander, another one of Chris's games. So we have Commander Bluehair, who's a Wing Commander character. Let's see... what looks like a reference to King Kong in the form of a Vandal. Hits on Vandal, UE, Bank, that kind of thing. And a box for Arena Commander in the style of the Wing Commander box. We've got some dog tags here for Chris Roberts, if I can get it close enough. There we go. Chris Roberts of CIG, and Matthew Bolio, I think is how you pronounce it, I'm not sure. So Chris Roberts of CIG, Matthew Bolio of Behavior, the sort of art people responsible for all of this, and the other hangars. And good job to them, because it's really cool. We also have a nice picture of the racing, which you would have seen in my preceding video. Looks like a shot glass, various in-game bits of alcohol. Ah, nice to see they're still doing the 4 Idiots videos in the 30th century. The physiological effects of prolonged exposure to multiple gravitational zones on human musculature. For idiots. Yeah. Methinks they're scraping the bottom of the barrel for topics in the 30th century. What else we got here? Stellasonic Operating Manual. Stellasonic, I looked this up recently, is the name of the manufacturer of the jukebox that is available, or was available to subscribers at one point. I don't have it, unfortunately, because I only became a subscriber after the fact, but maybe I'll pick one up in the future, or maybe just pick one up in-game. Was that Cry or Cray engine made easy? If it's Cry, that's rather amusing because the game is made in the Cry engine, but Cry spelled C-R-Y. So, nice meta reference. Slaying space dragons. Important knowledge had there. And 1001 Hazy Thoughts. Now, I can't read the author's name, but 1001 Hazy Thoughts would be good for me to talk about while I close the locker and get down to the more... Well, this is kind of the office area. Over there we have the more personal area of the hangar. So, let's bring up the elevator by standing in its proximity. Back to the subject. 1001 Hazy Thought. For about a bit over a year, CIG did a community show called Wingmans Hangar, which had the occasional skit in where I believe he's the art director, Mark Skelton is his name, where he would appear with a hookah pipe and give a hazy thought for the day. You know, the sort of things like, why is abbreviation such a long word, why is dyslexia so hard to spell, that kind of thing. Much more original than the ones I just gave you there, but I enjoyed that skit. I think they should bring it back for Around the Verse if they can. Probably won't, because Around the Verse is quite fun in of itself. Anyway, on to the personal area of the hangar. This is the sort of place where you might hang out during the time when you're not exploring the frontiers of space. So most of this stuff is all standard stuff. It's all seats and tables and planters, things like that. I haven't really paid attention to the planters before. They're quite nice. Very gamey though, with lots of very thin strips to add depth. And the start of the bits that are just for me. The trophy cabinet, which is nice to know that they've added trophies in various forms. So these are a couple of trophies from various conventions that I picked up from the pledge store. Didn't go to them, unfortunately. Would like to have, but a bit far to travel and a bit expensive for me, really. So what's this? This is PAX Australia 2014 and Gamescom 20... that's a 13 on there. I also have the Gamescom 2014 trophy. Why that's not being shown, I have no idea. Also, I object. I bought these under the branding of 29, 43, and 44. They should change those around. I demand it. No, I don't actually. It's up to them. It's their game. It's fourth wall breaking anyway. I don't mind. Space globes. Now these were a recent gift from CIG to their subscribers, although they are also available. Are they available just on the subscriber store? I don't remember. But yeah, there's 3 of them, as you can see. These are all 3 of them. It's not just 3 that I've got. So we've got little ships in globes. Now these are space globes, so if I use them instead of snow, we have, well, laser fire in this case. So that's a Drake Herald with the tagline, "To good health and evading skills." The Herald is an information runner, so evading skills will be important as people try and shoot you to stop the information getting away. Next up we have the Aegis Dynamics Reclaimer, which is reclaiming things. To plentiful salvage, yes. I do like that. And finally we have the Anvil Carrack. That was it. I was trying to think of the manufacturer there. That's Aegis, that one's Drake, that's Anvil. So we have what's it say? Wishing you glorious moments. Happy New Year 2945. And it appears to be in some sort of nebula thing. I'm really looking forward to seeing this ship. My fellow organization member has one of these, and we're looking forward to crewing it up and exploring the frontiers of space. Oh, they stopped on their own. I thought they kept going. One slight point of contention is that they don't give a sense of scale. This ship is huge. This ship is not tiny, but smaller, and they all look about the same size. But then, design constraint of they have to be big enough to be interesting. So it's not so much a complaint as it is an observation. I really like these. I hope they do more of them in future versions. Maybe with the Wave, because these are Wave 3 ships, maybe the Wave 4 ships can have something next year. I don't know. Probably be Wave 5 by then. And is obligatory on a game like this, fish tank. So this was also a subscriber reward, but this one I know is available in the pledge store. It's a Mark 1 fish tank. We have the basic fish. There. Is that? Oh, the elevator's coming to meet us. Nice. We have the Midas fish, which was the subscriber reward, and a Thorshoe Grey, which I've picked up from the Voyager Direct store later on. Sort of crustacean-y thing. Can't remember where he's from. Definitely not Earth. Maybe he's from Terra. Oh, he's hiding. No feed fish button yet. There definitely needs to be one. There are other fish available, or some of them are fish, some of them are non-fish. But I haven't bought them yet. Maybe in the future. Definitely look at buying them. I do like that though. Anyway, last but by no means least, we have spaceships. In addition to the ships, the actual ships I have down there. There we are. We have these. Now these are models of various starships from across the game. We have the where should I start? Or how should I start? Okay, let's just go back a second. These are made by a company, or a in-universe company called Takuetsu, and these are sort of the premier die-cast ship models. And the idea is that you would go around and, or you can if you want to, go around and collect these. So we have the Aegis Dynamics. Is this Aegis? This is Aegis. Aegis Dynamics Gladius, which is a very old fighter ship. I mean, even the Hornet is 300 years old. I think this ship is even older. We also have space for other ships, the Avenger, the Reclaimer, which is the one you saw up there. And this basically just the ship model shrunk down to a reasonable size. We get the box, of course. Crouch. Yes, Takuetsu. We have the Freelancer Miss variant specifically. You can kind of see the additional cargo pods on the top, but not really. It's not a great illustration of that particular variant. We have the Starfarer, which I've mentioned before that I do have. Oh, they got the scales on. I did not notice that. Scales aren't listed on this. Oh, there. Yes, they are. 1 to 26. And we also have the Hull C. The Hull C is part of a set of hulls A to D, I think, possibly E, which are very modular ships of very similar construction. Basically, in any other sort of sci-fi game or universe, you always get the background freighters that don't really have any character of their own. They're just there to fill out the space. And that's the sort of in-universe justification of why they're there. And that's what these will be when they finally exist. I'm really looking forward to seeing them. So this is the Mist collection going on. We've got the RSI collection, with the constellation Phoenix. Do you like the constellation? The constellation is essentially the one-up from the Freelancer and the current model, but I imagine there will be other equivalents to it at some point. The Orion, which is the mining platform, scale 1 to 105, wow. I thought that ship was big, but it's bigger than I thought. And the Aurora LN, which you've seen before. It's over there. And this one's the interesting one, because you have Murray Cup champions rather than a specific ship line. Have, of course, Caleb Arlo in his M50 Stinger. And I do like the M50, it's a nice... It definitely makes me feel like it's a racing ship. It's not the base racing ship, unfortunately. That title goes to the 350R, because it just has higher top speed. But the basic rules are... Well, not rules, basically the way it's falling out at the moment is, if you have a 350R, you dominate everything in the racing circuit. If you have an M50, you'll dominate everything else. And then the Mustang, Gamma, and Omega are somewhere down the line a bit. So when was he champion? 2923. And we have 2940, Sharin Vatu, who is a Xi'an. So nice to see non-humans competing in the Murray Cup. And he was in the Kahatu Al, which is a Xi'an ship, which will be interesting to see how that plays, because the Xi'an don't do this conventional human design of horizontal fuselage, big engines at the back for forward thrust, and then maneuvering thrusters. The Xi'an ships are all very powerful maneuvering thrusters with a more vertical design, so they're very maneuverable, not necessarily as fast in a straight line, but they can turn on a sixpence, so really looking forward to seeing them in action. And 2941 Timo Bakshi. Anyone who's seen the in-universe advert for the M50 will have heard that name. Yeah, he was running in a 350R. So, conveniently. Yes, Timo Bakshi. Yes, he raced the host of Galactic Gear. The host of Galactic Gear was in the M50. And we'll see, they kind of left it ambiguous as to which ship was the better option. As I said, if you want to win at the top of the board, 350R, M50, and then Mustang. So we have this one. This one's intriguing, because whereas all these are all different ships from the same manufacturer, this is all the variant of one ship. Manufacturer is Consolidated Outland, which is... there we are. Consolidated Outland are a new company in the lore. They were only founded quite recently. Well, the company themselves aren't that new, but they were, until very recently, working as part of... what's the word I'm looking for? A contractor for RSI, and they've decided to go out on their own and build ships. Particularly this one, the Mustang Alpha, which is the nice base level. There's... I mentioned before, well, I mentioned in the first half, that if you bought the base level starter package, you'll get an Aurora. That's not strictly true anymore, because now you have an option of the slightly more combat-focused Alpha as an option. The Aurora would serve as a more exploration and trading guy, whereas the Mustang would be a more military fighter craft. Not so much as the Delta, though. This is the specifically military variant. It's got it should have extra missile pods on. I guess they're not shown here. Disappointing. I do like the color scheme, though. And we also have the Beta, which is the more long-haul exploration version. It has a camper module in the back with a bed and things. And then we have the Omega and the Gamma, which are the racers. The Omega is the interesting one here, because that was done as a part of a collaborative deal with AMD, as in the actual AMD, the graphics card manufacturers. And it has a nice red and black color scheme, an extra air intake, but mechanically the Gamma and the Omega are identical. So my plan is to take the LX. I mentioned before, with the Freelancer and upgrading it to a Dura. Because these two are functionally identical, but the LN has a few more hard points and better loadout by default, I'm going to take my LX and cross-chassis upgrade it to a Gamma, so that I can do some racing, which would be rather fun, I think. And that's it. That's all of those. I'm looking forward to collecting up a lot more of these in the finished game. I hope that I can have a whole room of these things, because I'm a collector. And on the interest in ending on a dramatic moment, change the movement. Alright, Geronimo! That... Oh, always makes my heart go into my throat whenever I do that. Anyway, that was rather fun. Thanks for watching. The game has been Star Citizen. If you're interested in finding out more, you can check it out at robertspaceindustries.com. And I will see you all in the verse.